Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to I Think. So check it out. I'm gonna keep this one short, but it was just something that I was thinking about. Shout out, Pharaoh Ramses Elatan. You can check him out on YouTube at Pharaoh Said That. I was watching this video, and it really made me start thinking about everything that's going on with COVID-19 and things of that nature. You know, recently a lot of people got the $1,200 stimulus from the United States IRS. This $1,200, most of us are going to be paying rent with this $1,200. I think that you all need to realize just how serious and how much the economy is going to be affected because of this time. Not only on the rich, but on just average, everyday citizens. You know, in the month of April, they said that 30% of Americans did not pay rent in the month of April. Notice $1,200 is not a lot of money. And most of these cities, I'm from Atlanta, but I grew up in DC. So my rent, I had a roommate and I was paying like $900 a month. My roommate was paying the same. And that's in just a decent apartment in DC, or I think at that time I may have been in PG County. But the DMV area, rent is not cheap. It's not like you can just get a $400-500 apartment. Like, where are you going to get that? It's very, very hard to find in most of these big cities. So that $1,200 that they've given us is not going to go a long way, especially when you consider this rent. Now, rent is going to be a very major problem during the crisis and after. Imagine if this thing continues to go on and as people's savings accounts are depleted. 30%, the people who did pay rent are the people who already had a savings account or the people who are still currently working. But as this coronavirus epidemic or pandemic continues to play out, more people's savings accounts are going to be getting drained, paying things like rent. Now that's where I want to talk on this video. I want everyone to go check out Elmar, for the Democrat from Minnesota. What's her name?
What?
I always forget her last name. It's really hard to say. It's like Ilmar something.
Who?
Yeah, you guys had better push this bill that Ilhan Omar is talking about. Ilhan Omar. Sorry, I was butchering her name.
Oh, okay, fam. Okay.
But Ilhan Omar, the Democrat from Minnesota, salute her, because that is what this nation is going to need without a doubt. If you just check out Democrat from Minnesota proposes, she's a congresswoman. I think she's in the House. She's a House Democrat from Minnesota, and she's proposing that we cancel rent and mortgage payments either for a year or until the pandemic ends. Now, this fourth stimulus package that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has been pushing and a lot of people have been talking about. This stimulus package is going to need something addressing the rent, because if not, it's going to face major backlash. As it stands, the United States has said that you do not need to pay rent because, well, they didn't say you don't need to pay rent. I take that back. They said you will not be evicted for not paying rent. But that's not good enough, because that just means that your rent is accumulating, and when this corona pandemic ends, that rent will be due. You will still have to pay that rent. That is not going to be acceptable. That's going to drain so many American savings accounts and the few who even have a savings account, because we know that the majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Therefore, it's important that we understand how serious this issue is as far as rent. Not the $1,200, the small chump change $1,200. That's not going to be enough for people to survive, pay their rent, pay their car note if they have one, pay their car insurance if they have it, pay for food, which is more important than the majority of these things altogether, pay for food, rent, car note if they have it. Especially when you have children, it's impossible. This $1,200 stimulus is not going to be enough. I know next month they're saying they're thinking about increasing it to $2,000, but $2,000, if you're still paying rent, is going to be tough. You can see these folks out there in Michigan and everyone, Georgia starting to open up. The reason these folks are so anxious about reopening the economy and getting people back to work is because if we're not working, how is it possible for us to pay rent? Especially with a little $1,200. That's not even going to touch most people's rent, especially in some of these major cities. New York, D.C., Chicago, Los Angeles. Can you imagine Los Angeles paying rent $1,200 with $1,200? You got to pay rent and you got to survive a month off of $1,200. Sheesh. You might can skate by, maybe, possibly down south. You might can find some place to just lay your head but most folks, I'm telling you, that 1,200 is not going to be enough. So, like I said, I just want y'all to encourage y'all to push that lady Ilhan Omar, push her bill. We're going to need to stop the rent as long as this pandemic's going. All right? Peace. That's what I think.